Shabbos.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. On behalf of the congregation, I want to stand here and be ignored. It's so cool. I love this. I love you guys. Really, you're the best. Okay, Jason, you moved. This is throwing me off here. Okay, no, seriously, I want to welcome Rabbi Ethan Adler from the lovely town of Narragansett in Rhode Island and his lovely wife. I got to tell you, a million years ago, when I got installed, I love how they do that. They install rabbis like a light bulb. Anyway, I got installed in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I was there, thank God, 22 years. Beautiful town, except they had snow. They said, "Oh, Rabbi, don't worry, you don't have snow. In the seacoast, you got ice." That was really wonderful. Yeah, I got stories. All right, anyway, so they hired the late great Rabbi Norman Geller to do my installation. I know you haven't heard of him, but he was serving way up among the fish in Maine. They called him the Flying Rabbi. He was, oh my Lord, he was the tallest man I ever saw, big guy from Boston. And he had gotten himself a pilot's license so he could visit his various congregants. Anyway, he came to my installation, and in my honor, he sang My Way. And I'm thinking, why is he singing My Way in my honor? It's very strange. And he says, it's such an honor to be able to install Rabbi David Mark and his delightful wife. And I'm thinking, how does he know she's delightful? I think there's a category of rabbinic adjectives that you're allowed to use. Here's one. I've never used this in public. It behooves us. What is that? It behooves us. What are we, racehorses? It is in our best interests? Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, ooh, I see it's Bo. Torah portion, Bo. Last three plagues. Come on, extra credit. Last three plagues. Locust, very good. Darkness and the plague. And who? Any firstborn here?
Oh yeah.
You feel okay? You never know. Okay. This is a little sad. My late sister-in-law, when she gave birth to Justin, who's now a father himself, which nobody can get over, because Justin a father, oh God. Anyway, but he's a good father. He was not the Bechor, he was not the firstborn, because she had a miscarriage. And with the miscarriage, isn't this a cheery way to start the service? When you have a miscarriage, depending on how long you carry it, that determines as to whether the succeeding child, who is a boy, of course, because it's Judaism, whether he gets a Pidyon Haben or not, a redemption of the firstborn. Nowadays they do a Pidyon Habat. Back in the 70s, remember the 70s? I know a few of us do not remember the 70s. And what's that line? If you remember the 70s, you weren't really there. Except for disco. And platform heels. I had platform heels. Did you have platform heels?
I did.
Why did we have platform heels?
Because I'm short.
I knew this Israeli girl, and I thought, oh, maybe perhaps, big mistake. And my parents gave me a graduation present to go back to Israel.
Israeli girl?
An Israeli girl, yes. Her folks came from Iraq, and I had an Israeli friend who was a guy, and his people came from Yemen. And he said, Me'efohi, where's she from? I said, Iraq. And he said, ooh, tough women. So it didn't quite work out. But I took her to a dance. Actually, it was a wedding. I took her to my good friend Stan Richmond. You know him from Sharon? Stan Richmond from Sharon. You don't know him? His father was an accountant. What a surprise. Anyway, we spent the year in Israel. It was wonderful. Some guys went to yeshiva, Bravender's yeshiva. I think he retired, let him be well. Other people went to Hebrew U. I don't want to go to Hebrew U. It was too big. So I went to Bar Ilan University because it was Orthodox, as was I, and it was co-ed. That was the coolest thing. 2 girls for every boy. Anyway, that's how I met her. And we went to Stan's wedding. Because the thing was, when you came home from Israel, what did you bring? What was your souvenir?
Your bride.
You ruined the story. I told this before? Okay. No, you brought a bottle of sand. You brought olive wood. Everybody was very big on the olive wood in those days. Am I allowed to say God shouldn't punish me, nor you? Me, that is, you shouldn't punish me. Olive wood is probably the ugliest wood I've ever seen in my life. And I remember, in particular,
I don't think so.
You know, oh, well, there you go. I'll get you some. I have in my office, I have the 10 Commandments, but one is missing. The fun one. The fun one. Okay. Oh, it fell off. It was from the 60s. Okay, so you brought a bottle of sand, you brought a piece of olive wood, you brought a menorah. He brought an Israeli girl, Stan Richmond. I couldn't believe it. And his parents were very nice about it. They said, okay, you can live here and you'll get married. There was no hanky-panky because she was extremely Orthodox. I don't mean Orthodox, but she was Orthodox. But, so they got married. And I wore my, big mistake, I wore my platform heels to the reception.
Oh, God.
And we danced the night away because we were young and all of our body parts worked. I remember that. That was nice. And then I had to go home. And I took off the shoes. I'm walking through the streets of Ramat Gan. I was not drunk, believe me.
I said shrunk.
I did shrink, yes I did. There was solid wood. I could have thrown them in a fire. And I'm walking down the street, and all of a sudden coming towards me is a juke. Yes, a Nissan Juke. No, a juke. Do we know what a juke is?
No.
It's a cockroach.
Ah.
Okay?
A what?
It's a roach.
A roach.
And in Israel, you know, in Israel everything's bigger. This one is as large as a Buick. So it's coming towards me and it's got the antennas. And you know what I did? I walked in the street. I figure, you're bigger than I am. You're probably infected. I don't want to have anything to do with you.
You could have hit him with your shoe.
Ew. I wanted to wear those shoes again.
I squish squishy mess.
Okay, let's talk plagues.
We just had one.
What was the last plague?
The-
Jukes. Oh, yeah. Maybe that's why Nissan retired the Jukes. Somebody told them...
I never heard that word. Me
Oh,
either.
it's a Russian word. I think it's a Russian word.
I heard
Yes.
cucaracha.
Although in Russia they call them comrades. What?
Yeah, I heard cucaracha.
You've heard about Russia?
Cucaracha.
Kukaracha, yes, but that's not Israel.
That's not Israel, I understand that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, so you've got locusts. The thing is, we discussed this before with the plagues. There are people who pile miracle upon miracle upon miracle in terms of the plagues. For example, I remember Rashi. Gotta love Rashi. Rashi didn't make this stuff up. You know Rashi? Rav Shlomo Ben Yitzchak, short guy, had a beard, lived in France.
Lens grinder?
Never
Yes. No. That's Spinoza. Very good. That's very good.
I wonder if it's lens grinder.
Yes, Rashi did not have sons, he had daughters. And there was a series of books, I think somebody borrowed them, dealing with Rashi's daughters. Totally fictitious, but allegedly he taught them how to put on tefillin. Okay, and he was not struck by lightning. The man was brilliant. The man was brilliant because when you're in the 3rd grade in yeshiva, you start Rashi. And the beauty of Rashi is that he can tell you the most profound things in the simplest language. Like, why is it so hot in here?
We need Stuart.
You're comfortable, I'm hot. You want me to keep this jacket on, you better let it be cool. All right. So Rashi says during the Makas Choshech, during the plague of darkness, it was so dark.
How
dark was it? It was so dark that if an Egyptian held a torch in front of him, he couldn't see it. Okay? But the Israelites had light in their dwellings. Was it fluorescent or incandescent? No, the Israelites had light and the Egyptians had darkness. And of course you can explain it metaphorically and so on. My favorite, and this has been done before, Ian Wilson, you know him, British fella, no beard, okay? See, the difference between the Americans and the British is, in this country, if you're Meshuggah, we stay away from you. In England, if you're Meshuggah, they make you a university don. And that's what they did with Ian Wilson. The man is brilliant. He wrote Exodus, the true story. And I'm thinking, how did you know? Were you there? Nobody's ever going to know the story of the Exodus. Now I say this. We talked about this. Rabbi David Wolpe in L.A., a good colleague, albeit not a friend, and he said it never took place. Come on, something happened. Something had to happen. Maybe they took the matzah from here, and the plagues from there, and the Paschal lamb from there, and they shmushed them all together, because the redactor, the editor of the Torah, is very good with shmushing. But Ian Wilson came out with this book, and I don't think it was the only one. He explained the plagues scientifically. For example, the outbreak of lice and locusts and so on. Locusts are kosher, we discussed this. Only the bald locust is kosher. So when you see a locust, check to see if it has hair or not. Okay, that's I think that's in Sefer
It has
Torah.
a stamp on it, letting you know.
Yes, it has the OU. All right. But Ian Wilson explained that in the case of Krakatoa, which in spite of the movie is not east of Java, it is west of Java, well, just before Krakatoa exploded back in the late 1800s, there was an outbreak of jungle insects. Apparently, they felt the vibes from the volcano, and they went on the move. In the case of the Exodus, the Greek island of Santorini, one of those lovely little islands with the blue and white churches,
Yes.
great place to daven, mincha all the time.
It
Anyway,
should be one of the prettier islands. too.
sorry, what? It is a prettier
It
island?
is.
Beautiful.
They had a volcanic eruption, and that volcanic eruption resulted in all or most of the plagues, except for the last one, which I can tell you about. As far as the blood, that's water pollution, that's some kind of fungus or microscopic creature that got into the Nile River and multiplied, and so on. The bugs is fairly self-explanatory. Come on, where's the if you've got a volcanic eruption and the smoke goes into the atmosphere, what plague you got from that? Darkness. You see? So really, you can. I wouldn't do this with all the miracles. A miracle is a miracle is a miracle. You know, great line. I love this guy, Walt Whitman. You know him? Not Jewish. Brooklyn, New Jersey. Who makes much of a miracle? For myself, I know nothing but miracles, and every leaf in the street is a letter dropped from heaven, and so will it continue forever and for all time. See, that's a miracle. That's a nice thing. I mean, if you want a miracle, then you got the 10 plagues. Let's talk about the 10th plague. It's a little bit icky. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Again, this is Ian Wilson, all right?
We just ate.
Well, you'll see. It's not that icky. What happens after the 9th plague is that the Egyptians are totally demoralized, okay? And they don't know what to do. The Egyptians, the thing about Egyptian gods is you can see who they are, okay? If it's Anubis, it has the head of a jackal. If it's Set, if it's Osiris, all these other gods. If you've got a palpable god, if you have an idol, you at least have something to rely on. I mean, I, for example, have a Buddha and a Ganesha in my office. Do I pray to these things? No, of course not. Why do I admire Buddha? Because he's very calm.
Yeah.
I tend not to be calm. I tend to run around, as Nana used to say, like a chicken with its head cut off. On the other hand, I've got Ganesha, who is Hindu, and I feel sorry for the guy. It's a whole story with him, but I won't tell you now. But these are cultural artifacts that I admire.
He's also a woman.
Ganesha's not a woman.
But Ganesh is, I have one that's a female.
Really? I didn't know they came in varieties.
They do.
Is yours as good as mine?
Maybe better.
I'd be better.
Touche. Okay. Anyway, so what happens is the Egyptians are desperate to placate this invisible god who has wrecked their economy, demoralized their population. Pharaoh is doing a whole, well, I could make a comparison between him and a modern day president of a noted country. Yeah, that would be good on Pesach. Anyway, I apologize. But what happens is the Egyptians are thinking, what sacrifice can we offer to quiet things down? And they have found, I don't know if it's on Santorini, but there's another archaeological dig where the scientists found evidence that, well, just translating this to Egypt, the Egyptians themselves sacrificed their firstborn sons as a means of quieting things down, as I said, as a means of placating this angry, invisible God. What do you think?
I don't like that one.
You're not supposed to like it. I mean, the death of the firstborn is the death of the firstborn.
You think they really killed their own children to plague?
It's a theory. Again, it's a theory. We'll never know.
Of course it's a
It's
theory.
just an explanation.
It's the first
They
time
can
that's
sacrifice.
I
Wait,
ever
one at
heard
a time.
that, so
Yes, Roz?
It's just the first time I've heard that.
Yes.
I'm surprised.
This is not Jewish. This is not Torah. This is one guy who happens to be a scholar who researched the information. It's not just him. There are other scholars who've said it as well. And you never know. You just never know. Otherwise, what have you got? I'm sorry, you were going to say
No,
something?
I would just say that they probably would have sacrificed a daughter.
No, women didn't count. I'm being very honest with you. Come on, I've said this before.
Yeah, that's a good
Judaism,
thing.
I myself am a feminist, please. I've been a feminist since I was like 11 years old. And my cousin Thea should be well. Used to sing loudly in the Orthodox shul we both attended. And they shushed her because Kol Isha, the voice of a female, can be distracting. She was like 11 years old. Leave the kid alone.
Very
And so she stopped coming. Simple. Okay? What's the other thing? Okay, so getting back to... I lost my train of thought.
Sacrifice.
Sacrificing. Sacrificing in this case, it would have to be the boys. But why the firstborn? Especially since, and we've talked about this before, in Judaism, even though we make a whole hoopla about the firstborn with Pidyon Haben, redeeming the firstborn son, and so on and so forth, interestingly, the Pidyon Haben only takes place, the redemption of the firstborn, only takes place if the baby is born the conventional way. Nowadays, more and more babies are being born cesarean for possibly insurance purposes, and also the baby comes out looking neater. If they go the other way, I understand they look like they've been in a fight. You have to understand, my kids are adopted. I always say a lawyer brought my babies. They didn't come with the stork. I almost said the pelican. Okay, but if the baby has a C-section, if the mother has a C-section to give birth, the Pidyon Haben does not take place. Because it's supposed to be the one who openeth the womb, not climbeth out the window. That's the thing. All right, so I guess that's it for the plagues. And of course, what do we do to commemorate the plagues at the Passover Seder?
Dip and dip and dip and dip.
Now, how many of you dip and stroke outside the cup?
What do you mean outside?
Yeah.
Okay, you got, because the theory is, I mean, this is my minhag, this is my custom. It's okay, you'll tell me if you've got a different custom, because I don't have a lock on all the customs. Every drop of wine represents another drop of strength that the Egyptians lost with each succeeding plague. However, if your mother is a neat freak, like mine was, and she's using a white tablecloth,
And my sister.
you dip
And
and
my
stroke
sister.
inside the cup. So that was our family custom. Yes,
We put a plate underneath.
that is very revolutionary. What is a plate? I'm kidding. I know what a plate is.
But that's why we do it, so it doesn't drip on the white tablecloth.
Ah, there you go.
And my mother did that.
See, we were
60
very
years ago.
poor. We only had one plate. We had to share.
There you go.
And we kashed it every week. Here it's milchig, then it's fleischig. Very welcome. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
No, my brother-in-law did it outside but
Outside
there
the
was
house?
something-
What?
No, outside.
He did it outside the cup,
But there
right?
was something under.
Now
there.
there may
My sister was a
be.
neat freak.
I'm sorry?
My sister was a neat freak.
Okay, there may be one or two Jews who physically, literally tip the cup and drip that way, but you are excellent. You are surely looking for trouble with that. Really, I'm surprised nobody invented a becher. You know, a kosher wine cup with a spout. You know, like I'm a little teapot.
Yeah.
Okay, please don't make me do I'm a little teapot. Okay.
Okay, we will.
All right, let's just close this up. Here we go. Moving along. The calendar. What's our calendar? Lunar or solar?
Lunar.
It's lunar, but it's a little bit solar also. Okay. And what Christian holiday featuring bunnies always coincides with
It
Passover?
must be Easter.
Actually, it's Christmas for rabbits. No, no, you're right. You're right. And why is that? That's not us. That's them. Easter had to be a movable feast.
It has to do with.
With a Seder.
Has to do with the
It
Last
has
Supper,
to say
right?
that.
Seder.
After the.
Right, Joel. I'm sorry. Yes, 3 out of 4 Gospels agree that the Last Supper was a Passover Seder. I don't think John agrees. John is the most anti-Semitic of the Gospels, which is a shame. Now Luke, we like Luke, because even though all the apostles, otherwise known as the world's first public relations department, were Jewish, Luke was a Greek, but we let him in because he was a doctor.
What I say.
Yes. Okay.
But this year,
Yes.
Good Friday
Yes.
falls on the same as the first Seder.
Oh, wow. That's
That's what I
rough.
was
Do you
just
remember
saying.
riding the subway and the Catholics would get on? They had these soot
Yes.
on their
Yes.
forehead.
Well,
Ash
that was
Wednesday.
Lent, that was
That's
Ash
right,
Wednesday.
Was that? I thought it was Ash Wednesday. I'm sorry, I mixed up
That
with
was the
Good Friday.
beginning of Lent.
Yes, I'm sorry. Okay. Interestingly, I read this just tonight. And again, I'm not doing a big deal about Christianity. That's a different neighborhood. But you were not supposed to break the legs of the Paschal lamb. They do the Korban Pesach. They do the Passover offering. It's got to be totally roast with fire, not boiled, because again, it's got to be burned. Well, it can't be burned completely because they have to eat of it. But you don't break the bones.
No.
And significantly, when you know who is crucified, the Roman soldiers do not break his legs, which they generally did. So again, that parallel between you know who and the Paschal lamb is very important. But I don't want to get into that. What about sprinkling blood? Sprinkling blood? I don't mean we should do it. I'm just asking about it.
What is that
Do we
about?
do that?
No, we don't do that. But it's in the Torah. It's in the Torah. They take the blood after they slaughter the lamb. And supposedly it took a great deal of chutzpah to slaughter lambs or sheep or goats or whatever amongst the Egyptians. Why? Right, because the lamb for them was a deity. Anyway, they took the blood and they took a bunch of hyssop. What is hyssop?
It's all kind of a grace.
Kind of, well, that I figured out. I meant, do you make it into a broom or something?
A joint?
Okay, that would be a very good project for the shul. I think we should grow some hyssop and sell it as a fundraiser. But anyway, you take it, use it as a brush. You take a bunch of this stuff, you dip it in the blood, and you make a schmear on the door. Because what's significant here is that this is the door. But, this is the mezuzah. See this? The doorpost is the mezuzah. That is the mashkov. That is the lintel. Only Jews make such a tzimus about a door. Really. And of
They
course,
say- they say
opening the
put
door.
it
Yes,
on
what?
the
Renee?
doorposts of your house.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it,
That's why we have the mezuzah, right? But the mezuzah is not the scroll. It's not the little thing, container, whatever. Mezuzah means the entire doorpost, and you have two of them. I've made a very careful study of this after walking into several doors, okay? or having the door closed in my face. All right.
That's not the, then what is the mezuzah called? What we call.
We call the mezuzah.
But you just said it's the door.
I'm just telling you the emes. I
Well,
have
what
to.
is the name for the,
They call it the mezuzah.
they still call it the.
They call, okay, I'm gonna stop playing. They call it the mezuzah after the doorposts, okay? And the top part is the mashkov. The irony of the whole thing is, come on, what kind of houses are the Israelites living in those days? Mud huts. They didn't make a whole simus about their door, whether it's this way or that way. When I was a kid and we first moved into the co-op, nowadays they got mezuzahs. You should see the mezuzah that I have outside my office door. Oh, it's a mezuzah. It's got an angel on top, and Abraham, and Isaac, and a knife, and a ram. I've never seen such a busy mezuzah, because I grew up in an apartment where the mezuzahs were all stamped tin. That's all they were. Why were they stamped tin in those days?
The door
I
frames
guess.
were
You didn't
metal.
want to make a big deal about you being Jewish, even though everybody in the building was Jewish.
But in
We're
the-
all hiding. We're all Moranos. What?
But in the apartment building, the door frames were also metal.
Yeah, they had glue. This is before what is it? Gorilla Glue, Super Glue. You gotta be careful with Super Glue because I have seen several Jews walking around with the mezuzah stuck to their fingers. Okay, you gotta be careful. Jews are not handy, right? And you know what that means? Every time you walk through the door, people kiss you, which isn't bad, but still. Okay.
But Rabbi, in ancient times,
Yes.
they had something on the door so that they were passed over and their first.
That was the
wasn't
blood.
killed.
That was the blood.
It was not an object, it was not a.
No, just the blood.
Just the blood.
Oh, and I'll finish with this. So Pesach, what is Pesach?
Passover.
Passover, and that's the point. This is a Hasidic Maisa, a Hasidic tale. That what happened was that in this Maisa, and it's totally untrue because the Israelites are living in the land of, starts with a G, rhymes with ocean. Goshen, right. So the Jews are totally segregated. You don't want to live among shepherds. That's not a good thing. But in the in the Maisa, in the story, God looked at the houses in Egypt, and you had like 2 Egyptians, 1 Jew, 2 Jews, 1 Egyptian. And God skipped Pasach. He didn't just pass over. He skipped from Jewish house to Jewish house. God did a little dance and said, a Jew lives here, a Jew lives here. So you see, that proves God is Jewish, by the way. Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Any questions real quick? I think we're good. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
And the ladies can come on up here, and we're going to lift benchen.
Here we go.
Bench lift.
It's not that I saw.
What we're doing now. The lighting of the candles to bench lift. Yes, but you're doing the active. I'm doing the gerund. Okay. All right. Okay. Requires specialized abilities such as
You're the collection of books. Hey, Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, we wave our hands, we cover our eyes, and sing the bracha together. Shabbos, turn to the person next to you. Good Shabbos. Okay, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, honey. Good Shabbos.
Shabbos, 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 Shabbos. Zol zayin Shabbos. Shabbos, Zol zayin, Shabbos, Zol zayin. Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt.
Good Shabbos.
Sholem, 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 Sholem. Zol zayin Sholem. Sholem, soll sein Shabbos, soll sein Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt. Glikle, 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 soll sein Glikle. Glikle soll sein Sholem, soll sein Shabbos, soll sein Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt. Muy bien, as we say. Tov me'ot. So we are going to start welcoming the angels of Shabbat on page number 13. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Malachim Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Malachim Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Sefer Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, fly back.
Oh, yes,
the
thank
week.
you.
So
We were in St. Petersburg. It used to be a Moshav Zakanim, but now it is hip. Okay. A Moshav Zakanim is, never mind. Okay.
okay, you announce the pages.
Oh, I
You
announced
speak
the
better than
pages, yes.
me.
Isn't that historically correct that the cantor sings and the rabbi tells you what page?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, page 21 for the Lachado D.
Okay. Lecha lecha dodi, likra likra kala, Perei Shabbat lekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likra likra kala, Perei Shabbat lekabela. Lecha dodi, likra likra kala, Perei Shabbat lekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likra likra kala.
All right, we turn now to page 22, the fourth stanza. Please rise, face the door through which the Sabbath Queen will enter.
Boi beshalom, magnet vayah, gam besimcha ubetzona, token v'yasirula, boi
All right, please be seated, and we're on page 23. Page 23.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד מה בוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, הלב עשור בלילה, ולעלי היגיון וכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
Reading silently to the bottom of the page.
צדיקת המים,
Last four lines.
כרס בלבנון, איש ארץ
All right, I believe we're going to do the Baruch Hu at this time. On page 28. And perhaps Rabbi and Mrs. Adler will honor us by doing the Sikha. Okay. The trick is to open the wooden doors, fold them back on themselves, and then there's a curtain on the inside, because we're Jews, we never do anything simple. Just fold her. And then Mrs. Adler, you're right here on the left, you've got a pole. I understand the sacred tabernacle in the wilderness was very similar to this. All right, please be seated. Let's see, what have we got there? There's got to be a charming reading in the back. Oh, this is good. Okay, 362, Rabbi Ben Sion Buxer, one of the leading lights, I believe, of the 60s. 362, top one. An insurance and a doubt. In doubt, yes. Okay. Let's read together. God speaks in assurance and in doubt. When we are vexed, when many paths beckon, and we cannot choose our way, God illumines the way. Assurance comes to the soul, and we are again at peace. But when we have chosen unwisely and feel smugly content, God disturbs us with doubt to challenge us, that we might rethink our way. Okay, let's go back. 29.
בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בגודך, ונשמע לדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך, לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו ולאורך ימינו. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
All right, we'll turn to page 30 for the Shema. We'll cover our eyes to show God cannot be seen, or to focus within. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Uncover the eyes. Baruch Shem Kivod, Malchuto Le'olam Vaed. Reading the English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words which I command you this day you shall take to heart. Teach them diligently to your children, and recite them at home and away, night and day. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, and as a reminder above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates. All right, reading silently, I believe, bottom of page 30.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם
Page 32, we have the Milchamocha.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל לכהנו שירה בשמחה רבה ועברו כולם מי כמוך בעינים אדוני מי כמוך נהדר בקודש נורא תגדול מלכותך ראו עליך בוקע ים לבני משה סליאנו ואמרו ונאמר כפדון היד יעקב וגאלו מיד כזג ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
All right, this is the portion of the service where we think of the folks we know, Jewish, Gentile, friends, relatives, who are in need of refuah shalema, a quick and speedy recovery. Had a conversation on the way here with Dr. Joseph Taubman. He sends his regards, but is going through a very difficult time. How is Adele Greenblatt doing?
She's making progress.
she's
Oh, good, good.
She's making progress.
All right, anyone else for the good of the... Okay, all right, we'll go around.
James Basmagian
Refuah shalema,
and Inez Casher.
refuah shalema. If that's for me, tell them I'll call them later.
I'm sorry, I
You might be
forgot
gone
it all.
for
Refuah shalema, yes.
No, hit the side button. There you go.
I was just getting into it. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Okay.
I thought it was off, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, refuah shalema. Yes,
Chai Shura, Bas
Yes.
Yaakov, Bas Schweizer.
refuah shalema. Yes, yes.
Dan Hershkowitz.
Refuah shalema. Okay. Moving along.
Michelle J. Gomez.
Refuah shalema. Yes. Toby, did you have somebody?
Nancy Austin,
Refuah shalema.
Todd Austin,
Refuah shalema.
Lauren Maurer.
Refuah shalema.
That's it for now.
Thank you. Yes, yes.
Arlene Carl,
Refuah shalema.
Joel and Arnold Kosnitz.
Refuah shalema. Yes. Okay.
Rebecca Weinstein.
Refuah shalema.
Serafina Klein,
Before Shlema.
Moshe ben Yosef,
Before Shlema.
Barton Reynolds, John
Before Shlema.
Mackey, Russell Schotter.
Yes. Okay. All right. And as always, we we remember our brothers and sisters in the embattled state of Israel. We pray for the welfare of our brave troops protecting our country all over the world. At this time, we'll read the English paragraph, the top left on 33. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace, and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all his people of Israel, over Jerusalem and the entire world. Baruch atah Adonai, Shomrei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim, v'al kol ha'olam kulo. Amen. 34. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat l'asot et haShabbat l'dotam l'ridolam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat l'asot et haShabbat l'dotam l'ridolam. Ve'niuen b'nei Yisrael oti leolam, oti leolam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat l'asot et haShabbat l'dotam l'ridolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat l'asot et haShabbat l'dotam l'ridolam. U'ayom hashvi'i Shabbat b'nafash, Shabbat b'nafash, Shabbat b'nafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat l'asot et haShabbat l'dotam l'ridolam. All right, please rise for the Hakadosh. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemeh Rabbah. Amen. Ve'alman divrach Yiruteh ve'yablik malchuteh. Ve'chayechonu yomeinu ve'yelechon beit Yisrael. Bagara, bagara, u'bizman karim. ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשם לילה מכל ברכתה
ושירתם
All right, the Amidah, the standing silent prayer, beginning on 35b, continuing to 38, after which you may be seated. You can do either do the whole thing or focus on one or two lines.
Oh, that's good, that's good.
On page 47, no, we're not doing 47. Okay, this is for the captain, not to Alphonse and Gaston.
Usually we do this.
Yeah, that's fine, that's okay.
Last week, a little vice was here and did something different. They told me, I don't know. Little vice was last week and making us in cheese movement.
Well, tonight we're doing Kol Nidre. I mean, why not?
That was your go away.
But today we are back.
Okay.
the mice is behaving.
That's it. All right, I think, based on the cantor's discourse, I think we're doing the Kiddush, but I wouldn't bet the farm on it. In any case, we're going to ask the wine macharot to distribute. We're on 49. No, just 49. Plain ordinary 49. We'll do 149 next week, you never know. Oh, thank you, sweetie. That's all right, it's good luck. On this reading desk, please.
This is why we keep this corner.
That's right. You just made it into a
The whole night.
Juice or
Yeah, they-
juice?
You know that line.
Sorry. Okay.
It's all right.
Can't get confused.
Yeah, we ran out of money. She told me we brought some wine. I usually, I brought a few times, but I don't know about it, I don't bring it. That's how it is.
No, really, before she.
Yeah?
Yes, here, baby.
It's not Joey.
There you go.
All right, everybody, please rise.
It's a little short.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho, v'ava v'ratzon ilchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, Yom
All right, we'll take a couple of minutes to collect the cups. Please stack your cups. All right, meantime, we're looking to do the Aleinu. Okay.
Just juice. Good Shabbos, sweetheart.
Would you folks like to do Are we okay? Are we ladling? You know, if we didn't rehearse this beforehand, I really want to.
Okay. Aleinu.
closed. Yes, and the doors as well, thank you very much. As the doors are closed, if you're not saying mourner's cottage, you may be seated. I want to note in passing, Shloshim, the 30-day period following the passing of my, I don't want to say beloved. Beloved is one of the most overused adjectives in the language. I would say our dear, our sweet, our wonderful, my sister-in-law, Janie Lowenstein, of blessed memory. And who else is doing Kaddish for whom? My mother. Let her rest in peace, yes.
My mother.
Let her rest in peace.
My wife.
Yes, of course, yes. Yes. Let her rest in peace. Yes, okay.
Joel's wife, who's my dear friend.
Right. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shalei Rabbah, Amen. Yom Ma Divrach Derutev, Yom Liach Machutei. V'chayei Chon v'yimei Chon v'chayei D'chol Beit Yisrael. Agalau v'zman kariv v'yimru, Amen. Yehi Shnei Rabbah Mevorach v'yolom v'yolaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu. V'yelam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Namiran b'yalma v'yimru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. V'yaseh shalom. V'yal kol Yisrael v'yal kol Yishmei tevel v'yimru, Amen. Please be seated. Now we have some announcements by our wonderful president, Ms. Rita Fleming.
Good Shabbos, everyone. Welcome to our new guests this week. So lovely to have you here. I did notice that the best voices this night were coming from this side of the show. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but
Too late.
it was terrific over there. I want to wish you all a sweet Shabbos, and so good to have you here with us. Tomorrow, starting at 9:30 is our more traditional Shabbat service. Please come. We're going to have a treat because Mordecai is going to be doing the Haftorah the first time, and with us, we're so happy to have Mordecai and Sarah with us. And after the service, Rabbi will be doing his class, which will be on.
Okay, we've been talking about God's existence, and it's going to be Rambam, that's Maimonides. Actually, it's Rambam. When he does the Jewish stuff, he's Rambam. When he does Aristotle, he's Maimonides. We're going to put him up against Albert Camus, the existentialist. So we're going to have some fun with that.
Well, we can't miss that one. And on Sunday, if you haven't already signed up to come to our Sunday brunch to honor the hidden children of the Holocaust, please know, just come. We have two wonderful speakers who were both hidden children, both with very different stories. And it will be very heartwarming and tender, and we want to celebrate all those children who have survived. So please come. On Monday morning, 10 o'clock, come to Laura Durant, our own Laura's counseling session on aging gracefully. So who doesn't want to do that? I mean, really. It's really amazing. You will be thrilled. Even if you feel initially that you don't want to come, overcome it, give it a shot. It's fantastic. Being one of those brats who didn't want to go, I can tell you, I was delighted when I did show up. During the week, we have our...
What time is the Sunday affair?
The Sunday affair is at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
It's a Sunday brunch, a wonderful one. It's only $18 to come, and you know all of that goes to temple, and every temple needs its $18, I assure you, so please come. During the week, Mondays and Thursdays, we have our minyan, which begins at 8:45. We are one of the most blessed synagogues in that we have a full minyan on both of those days, so attend. It's a wonderful way to start the morning. And Rabbi has his classes on Wednesday at 4:30. Is an adult Hebrew class, 7 o'clock, current events class. On Thursday morning after the Minyan, Cantor Javier has his class on diving into the Siddur and many other subjects. Every Thursday, come. You will be delighted. We are very blessed with learned clergy who love to teach and who make learning about our history, our spirituality, our love of Judaism, and about what we are reading in our own Siddurs that sometimes we don't know. And the explanations are wonderful. Friday night, 6 o'clock. Attached to our Friday night service, we are going to have our very first Tu B'Shvat Seder. So come. Lots of fruit, fruit of the trees, fruit of the earth, and a little nash, because it's 6 o'clock and you have to have a little something beside fruit. So I assure you, you won't go away hungry. And then after at 7:30 we will have our regular Friday night services. I want to tell you something very special that's going to happen in February. Our own Laura Durant has written and published a book. It is called Listen. And we are going to celebrate Laura's accomplishments with a book signing on Saturday evening, February 16th. Come. Listen to what Laura will read to you from her book. Purchase a book. Have something sweet to eat, because there will be a lovely sweet table, and celebrate with us. We want to celebrate every accomplishment of all of our members, and we have some dynamite members. I want to share something with you. This week, with the terrible goings on of the government shutdown, I got a call from one of our members who wishes to remain anonymous, asking if in fact we had any members who were affected by the government shutdown, and that if we did, that this person was willing to help them out during this time of crisis. A mensch among mensches, because we have the sweetest congregation, the most accomplished and caring congregation that you could ever imagine. At the end of February, we're just going to putting out flyers now for our joint Shabbaton with Federation. We are forming a very firm bond now with the East Broward Federation, and we want to have your support, please, for every event that we do. And this is very important for Temple Shalom, as it is for every other synagogue on the east side of Broward County. We need to be part of the greater Jewish community. So they know we are here, and we know they're there, but we act together. So please, come. Take a look at the bulletins. I don't have to talk anymore. Everything is in there for you. Did I leave out I left out Mahjong.
You just gave me a dirty
On
look.
Monday, I got Mahjong. Right. Actually, our Mahjong group is growing.
Yes.
We're now a 2-table group.
Yeah.
And we even have a young man who comes to play Mahjong.
Yeah.
So don't feel, if you want, if you
Yeah, he does very
plays
well.
yeah.
He's
So,
hustling us all.
If you feel like bamming and cracking it, come on, you don't, just come. And I send you,
Is it a single one or is a married one?
Huh?
He's a single one.
Married.
A married one. A
Sorry,
married
Laura.
one. And
I'm sorry for
yeah, he's bringing his wife to the hidden children.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a wonderful group. So I wish you a sweet Shabbat.
No, okay, that's fine.
We don't do,
Okay, very nice.
we don't do
They don't have to push
Okay,
bridges.
we almost get to September 19th, Rosh Hashanah.
I don't have sermons yet. I got no sermons. I have gone to your sermons. Yes.
Muy bien.
54 is the
And
Adonai.
maybe coming up a class, a Spanish class. Who wants to learn Spanish?
Yes,
Who wants not Creole? I cannot help you. But with Spanish, we can start with Spanish.
Spanish,
Okay?
yes,
And the
Spanish.
Yiddish class.
And
Kindergarten.
Yiddish class, right?
Kindergarten.
Yiddish class,
Yes,
yeah.
The Yiddish class.
It's going through Spanish and Yiddish simultaneously.
With Alfredo in Yiddish. Portuguese. Okay. 54. Adonai lama shermana, b'dereko nitzir nirale, et nasare chetzoko, azai melech shemo nikrave, achare kekrodako, ve'ado yimlog norave, u'aya ve'u'ove, ve'u'yeh ve'tifara, ve'u'echa Beli Reishi, Beli Tagli, Belo Ahos, Bela Misra, Beueli, Bechailwari, Betzurchermi, Betzara, Beulisri, Umarosi, Menat Kosi, Beyom Bekra, Beyado, Akidruchi, Betisha, Beaira,
Lord bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai parabeleja veijuneka.
Lord turn his face into you. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. And Lord, and Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you.
Isa Adonai parabeleja veyasem lecha shalom.
And Lord turn his face into you and grant you peace. We'll say Amen.
Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat 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 shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shabbat shalom. Shabbat shabbat.